I'm out here in Williamson County with Jay Williams from Williams Honey Farm, and he's going to show us, tell us, and teach us as much as we can absorb in one day about bees. Jay, what are we standing in front of right here?
So what you're standing in front of is called a nucleus beehive, a nuke for short. So this is what we use and what we breed to start new beekeepers off in their beekeeping careers. So every single one of these boxes here has one queen in it. And the queen controls the entire hive. She's in charge at all times, and everybody knows she's there. Every queen has their own personality. Some are hard workers, some are relaxed, some are easygoing. This again is a nucleus beehive. It has probably about, let's say, just under 10,000 bees in it, maybe 10 to 15,000. They're just hanging out. They're growing. The queen is laying a whole lot of eggs, and we're going to see if we can find her. So once we start with the first frame, which is on the outside, right here is pollen that's all just come in. And you can, guesstimate if you want what kind of pollen is. Is it red maple? Is it from tulip poplar? Is it from anything? Right now, basically, the honey flow is on. And when we say that, it means that there is nectar heavily coming in from locusts that just started blooming a few days ago. But by keeping bees and by watching these hives, you get to know what's blooming in your environment pretty closely. And you get a really good idea for the temperature changes and the environmental changes. So this is just the outside of the hive. This is nectar that hasn't quite been cured yet. This is actually nectar that has been cured.
So what do you mean cured?
So what I mean by that is that you can't eat honey until it's about 19% moisture content. So the bees will take their wings and they'll dehydrate this nectar down and turn it into honey. It's a little too watery when it first comes in from the flowers. So they'll store it in here, and then they will dehydrate it over time. And then once it's perfectly 19% or less, they'll cap it with a little wax capping. And you can actually just take your finger and stick right in there. And it tastes better than anything you'll ever taste in a grocery store, that's for sure. So we'll just line that right up there. And we'll come in here. So what's really cool is we do a whole lot of extractions, they're called, which means we remove a beehive from someone's house or a tree or whatever. And in nature, and as well as in managed beehives, on the outsides of the hives is where you're going to find all the honey. And on the inside of the hive is where you're going to find the babies, or the brood, it's called. The reason being, what's expendable? The honey. They can make way more honey. The future of the hive is the babies, basically. So the babies are always going to be in the center. So if you look at this frame right now, do you see anything that's sort of popping out at you that looks different than the rest?
Right here.
Boom, there you go. So she is the future of this hive.
Is she always bigger and more elongated in the back then?
Yeah, so these are all worker bees right here. So worker bees are females, about 80% of the hive, and they're all fed royal jelly. Royal jelly is like the superfood in a sense. Well, one of the eggs, the one that they decided this is going to be the queen, was fed extra royal jelly, and that made her basically develop into a bigger bee.
What is on this one? Is that pollen?
That's pollen, exactly, yep. So that's pollen that's just come in. So one of the beekeeper tricks that we use, that if someone, a new beekeeper can't find the queen and they're looking all over and they don't know where to find her, right here you just look for where the bees are that have pollen on their sacs, the pollen sacs, and then you know that the queen is close by because they're feeding that pollen to the babies. So she'll lay about 1,500 eggs a day for her entire life, which is pretty impressive. She'll go out and she'll mate for about 3 or 4 days, and then she'll come back to a hive, and then she'll never leave again. That'll be it. Bees are important for so many different reasons.
Is it true 1 out of every 3 things we eat we would not have without a bee?
1 out of every 3 bites we take is thanks to a honeybee. They are involved, you know what, I'm going to have you hold something. They are involved in so much more than everybody realizes. There's a certain crop, there's many crops, but one crop, almonds in particular.
Almonds from California?
From California,
okay.
Yep. Here you go, just grab right like I was. There you go, perfect. So almonds are, you can't have almonds without bees. They are so dependent on pollination from honeybees. And it's also the reason that we're in such trouble because of almonds. Because if you can imagine, every year around, let's say the end of December or so, 3/4 of all the beehives in the United States are trucked to the almond pollination, which is in Central California.
Really?
So think about,
that's a lot of bees.
It's a lot of bees. It's big business. People don't want to turn down. They're chasing the money right away. But think about the problem that can cause. So let's say, we get 100 people from all over the country and we put them all in the same room. Well, they all got different colds and flus and they're sick or whatever. What happens? all we do is exchange all those colds and flus and then go right back out into the rest of the country. So if you want to talk about the best way to spread disease, that's it. The best way to raise bees and to bring the pollinators back is to actually have multiple varieties of blooming plants and flowers and trees and all that stuff, because variety is the spice of life. You can't have one thing and expect the bees to stay healthy. And unfortunately, when you bring them to almonds, that's all you're giving them. The other thing is that the bees are coming from all over the country, which means the bees from Tennessee are like, hey, where's the tulip poplar? I'm looking for it. It's missing. You know, I'm waiting for the basswood to bloom in June. What's going on? And the same thing with the bees in Florida and New York and all that stuff. It messes up the bees. So stressed bees equals sick bees. And bees have a very strong stinger and a very weak immune system. So we have less forage, so there's pressure on the bees to have less area for them to feed off of. There's a certain type of chemical that was used in a bigger variety called neonicotinoid, and that's in almost everything right now. And it's synthetic, so it lasts a super long time. And it weakens the bees, so it doesn't kill them, it weakened them.
Okay.
Well, when you weaken the bees and you get away with it for a certain amount of time, you just get less and less strong bees. And then on top of that, we started importing tons and tons of bees because we were losing them. Well, when you import them, you import the pests with them. So there's something called a varroa mite, which is basically like a tick on top of a bee.
Okay.
And the varroa mite sucks at the bee larva and weakens it. Well, again, you weaken the bee, you're having problems. And the varroa mite is really hard to get rid of, because how do you get rid of an insect that's living on top of another insect? And the answer was, well, we just sterilize the whole hive, or we just kill everything. Well, it just, again, weakens the bees even more to treat them. So we created these bees that needed coddling along. We needed bees that constantly needed interaction, some sort of treatment or control. And we sort of shot ourselves in the foot. So that's what happened is we had less forage, there was chemicals, there's less genetic diversity now because there's so few of us breeding bees in the area, that it was sort of like a perfect storm, and it hasn't really gone away. It's still very much a problem in Tennessee, in the South, I mean everywhere. And I think until we raise bees or create bees that can fight that varroa mite and or stronger, a better immune system, I think we're gonna be fighting this for a while. One other thing to point out is, see this sticky stuff right here?
Beeswax?
This is actually called propolis.
Okay.
And propolis is really fascinating. It comes from tree sap in the area. And bees collect it and they'll put it all over this hive. Well, it's antifungal and antibacterial. So coincidentally, a lot of people in Europe actually put this in a capsule and eat it because it's really good for your stomach. Well, bees use it to act as an external immune system in their hive. So you know how I was saying they have a weak immune system? Well, they're like, all right, well, I'm going to line the entire inside of this hive with this sticky gummy stuff, which is going to help us be healthier. Ironically, it makes for a slower process of trying to pry the frames out of the hive, so it slows you down. So the commercial guys, the big guys, actually bred it out of their bees because it slowed them down.
Okay.
Because it was like, oh, it's taking me so long during the day to get things done. And unfortunately, again, that made their bees even weaker.
Sometimes you can't make things better, can you, that nature has taken care of?
You have to sort of let nature do its thing.
It's really not a simple hobby, is it?
I mean, it is in a sense because it hasn't changed in 100 years. You know, this is the same system that literally was created in the 1800s, so more than 100 years. It's just that you have to sort of treat them a little bit differently. You have to be an inventor, which is actually what I love about beekeeping, because it's any man's game or any gal's game. We are all trying to come up with, all right, what do we need to do now to save the bees? Because we haven't figured it out yet. So let's get creative, everybody, and let's do it. And it makes for really fun. It's, you know, it's always changing. Just when you think you figured out the bees, they teach you that you don't know anything.
This one seems a lot skinnier than what I've seen traditionally. Is there a reason for that?
That's a good observation. So I raise nucleus beehives because they build up faster.
Okay.
So this mimics a classic big trunk of a tree, and this is a little bit smaller. So in a smaller environment, you'll raise bees faster. So I can turn them out quicker because our season is so short here in Tennessee. It's like 6 weeks basically, and then you're done for the main nectar flow. So when you put them in a small cavity like this, you know, bees need a few things to raise their young. They need heat, they need water, and they need some sort of nectar or pollen source. So if you can provide those, which I can right now, and put it in a small environment, you actually turn them out quicker. And again, this isn't about like how many can we produce as fast as possible. It's just that our season is so short that I want to empower as many people as I can.
All right, let's look at some of these other ones.
The brood, so the babies are about right here, and then from here on up is going to be all honey.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it's a pretty good hive. There's a hive over there that's about 10 supers tall, and that's a pretty good size for us. And remember, it's second, third week in April. It's pretty darn good
Now,
for
will
our
this
outlook.
extreme 10 degrees over normal heat
It'll actually help them.
Will it?
Yep.
Okay, because you said they like three things.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
okay.
So just as curiosity, I'm not going to let go totally. See if you can pick that up. See what you. Tell me if you think it's heavy or it's light.
Oh my goodness. What is it about?
That's all
20
honey.
pounds?
It's 30 pounds.
30 pounds? Okay.
It's all honey.
That's stronger than I thought.
So let's put this right on its side, just like that. And let's check it out. Let's see what it looks like right now.
Well, I have to say it sure is pretty.
So if you're feeling lucky, Sherry, you want to take one glove off.
Okay.
I'll do it with you if you want, just so you have a friend. Take a glove off and just jam your finger right into that wax right there.
Right here?
Yep, just jam it right in. Now taste it.
It's sweet.
That's
Sweeter
good.
than
That's a start.
Sweeter than, but kind of a woodsy, musty undertone.
Okay.
No?
Yeah, absolutely. Honey is like wine. It's supposed to give you a front taste and then a back taste. One of the secrets that I believe of our honey is basswood.
And that's what
And
that
we
is?
this actually isn't basswood. It will be, because basswood doesn't bloom until about the last 2 weeks in June, somewhere around there. So what we do is we actually time it so that we have peak population right around the basswood. And the basswood gives it that great sweet aftertaste. When you look at honey, you want cloudy honey. You want honey that doesn't look crystal clear and always golden. The honey that you find in the big grocery stores doesn't really come from this area. Matter of fact, a lot of times it comes from China. And they pasteurize it, so they kill all the enzymes so that it won't ever crystallize, and then they filter it to get out all the pollen. Number one, so you can't trace it where it came from, and two, because it's clear, and we all would think that honey, it has to be clear or else it's not any good. You want the exact opposite of that. You want cloudy honey. You want honey that crystallizes, because that means it's raw.
Okay.
So if it does crystallize, just put a little warm water. It'll liquefy right up. Honey never spoils. There's honey from 2,000 years ago, from ancient Egypt, you could still eat.
Wow.
And the reason is because it's dehydrated, because it's very acidic. So the pH doesn't support, there's no water, and the pH doesn't support any sort of bacteria growing in it. See that right there, by the way? Those are swarm cells. So every year, right about this time, the bees want to multiply. They want to have as many hives as they can out there. So they put swarm cells down here to raise a new queen, to take half the hive and go off to someone's house or someone's yard and try and create a new colony. So if any of the viewers find that all of a sudden a hive has taken up residence in their house, they should definitely call a beekeeper rather than kill that hive.
Okay.
And have us come out and try and remove it to try and save those bees.
We're in a big patch of strawberries. It's going to be a you-pick strawberries, and we're at the Mason Bee Project, and this is a trial, Jay?
This is a pilot study.
Tell me about that.
So the pilot study is showing how much better or how much higher the yield on your crops is going to be with mason bees pollinating it. And so we've put what we're studying is our ratio. How much bees per acre do we need to put out? And on this property, we're at about 2,000 mason bees per acre. And if you look at this, it's very different from the beehives we were just visiting. It's very quiet. There's nothing really going on. There's not huge swarms happening in front of the hive. That's because the mason bees are very quiet. They do their own thing. Most of them are out working right now, and they're not in front of this hive. They live about 6 weeks, and they don't make any sort of honey. They just collect pollen.
So this is great for people that want to pollinate their gardens but don't want to mess around with the honey.
This is the answer. If you want to double or triple your yield from your garden, you need to put out mason bees there. Like I mentioned before, there are 100 honeybees is equivalent to only one of those mason bees.
Wow.
Mason bees are extremely hairy, and so the pollen sticks to them because all bees are positively electrically charged. So when it lands on a flower, flowers are negatively electrically charged, and so it just snaps right to the
So is there a
bee.
queen bee with these as well?
All the ones that are laying right now are females. They're
Okay.
all queens.
Oh, okay.
And each little queen has its own little hole. That one right there is going in its own hole. And if you'll notice, if we sat here all day long, that bee right there is going to go back to its same hole every single time.
Wow.
That's why the front of it looks a little different. It's like charred. It's so that they don't all look the same.
Okay.
And you can tell, you know, they're going to come back every once in a while, but for the most part, they're out pollinating each flower. And so it's a really important point to make, which is the bee is going from one flower to the next flower to the next flower to the next flower. It's not going from the flower back to the nest, to the flower again. And that's very important to point out because it means they're amazing cross-pollinators.
And it's moving that pollen around.
Exactly. So that's why this is so popular out west in the orchards, because you have an apple tree that, you know, needs to pollinate with an apple tree 5 rows down or whatever. This bee will take care of that. This study is to demonstrate to Tennessee farmers specifically that we can greatly improve your yield from your crops with our mason bees.
And so after the 6-week cycle of them pollinating is over, what happens then?
What happens then is we take these big old blocks of holes and we'll take them back to our house. We will study them. We'll probably take the cocoons out of the trays and we will send them off to a lab, and the lab is going to test if there's any sort of chemicals or pesticides in their cocoons. It's going to study the variety, what did best. You know, there's many different varieties of native bees, and we want to know, is the blue orchard mason bee going to be the one, or is it a different one? We are not only, you know, creating a habitat for the bees that we brought in, we're also attracting the native bees in the area, and we want to study what bees are most prolific in this area.
And you said the mason bee is not susceptible to the mites.
No, which is really cool. That's why it's a great bee or a great alternative pollinator, which is it's not susceptible to varroa mites. It's not moved around, so the disease process isn't spread easily. It needs mud, that's about it, and something to eat. So if you're interested in getting into solitary bees, is what we'll call them, bees that generally don't sting, are very quiet, are amazing pollinators. One solitary bee is the equivalent to 100 honeybees. The best way to do it is to get a kit. And a kit kind of looks like this. It looks kind of like just like a birdhouse. And it's lightweight, you can basically put it anywhere. We work with a company called Crown Bees. They're an amazing solitary bee producer. This is an all-in-one kit for every backyard gardener or pollinator enthusiast, a pollineer. So the kit is really cool because it comes with everything you need. It comes with leaf cutter trays, which are a little bit smaller, and it comes with mason bee trays. So mason bees is the spring bee. That's the bee that we're using right now behind us to pollinate strawberries. Leaf cutters are awesome for summer vegetables. So if you want to double, triple your production out of your garden in your backyard, get leaf cutter bees out there.
Even for the local home person?
Absolutely. And what's so cool about these is they don't sting. They don't bother your pests. Your pets. They don't bother your kids. They're really, really comfortable in any environment you put them in. Really all they need is a little bit of sun, about 5 feet off the ground, and a source of mud. And what's great about this kit is they even give you some mud. So you just mix it with a little bit of water, put it out for them to basically build their nests off of, and that's it.
And we can get this kit where?
On our website. Go to williamshoneyfarm.com,
okay,
and we'll ship it right to you in about 2 days, and you can get going.
Now, what about the pollineers in this area?
Okay, so the pollineers is a movement that we started about a year or two ago. And the pollineers is basically a group of people that are empowering others. They're empowered and they're empowering others to make a difference and helping pollinators in any way possible. And that could be whether talking about it, supporting local beekeepers, putting a solitary beehive in their backyard, getting a honeybee hive, purchasing seed bombs. Seed bombs are really cool. They are perennial flower seeds encased in clay and compost. And all you got to do is walk in your backyard, drop it into the ground, and it self-germinates and grows a perennial flower seed, or perennial flower for years to come.
And these flower seeds are for this area, is that correct?
Exactly. So if you notice, it says Southeast Blend on there. So we've created a blend of flower seeds that are perfect for this region. You know, if there's one thing you can do today, starting right now, this moment, and stop using chemicals in your backyard. Don't plant green grass. Instead, have a whole bunch of variety of flowers that look really cool, that are fun for the family to plant, and take a stand to get rid of that artificial backyard that you're growing right now.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.